Our first topic of the day is titled Sports Contracts, Starting Block or Finishing Line. We would like to invite Mr. Yip Huan Wing as our moderator for this topic. Mr. Yip Huan Wing has been active in practice as an advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya since 1998 and currently practices as a partner in the firm of RWY and Yip, a legal 500 law firm. He is also an accredited mediator with both Malaysian Mediation Centre as well as Singapore Mediation Centre. While he excels in the sports of being a couch potato and TV serving, he is an avid supporter of many sports and is particularly passionate about basketball, badminton, of course, soccer, being a hardcore fanatic Manchester United fan since 1984. He counts among his role models and heroes such personalities like Michael Jordan, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona, as well as our own local legends, Datuk Lee Chon Wei, the late great Mukhtar Dahari. Please welcome Mr. Yip Huan Wei.
Thank you, Jason. Very good morning to everyone in attendance today, and I wish you a very warm welcome to our inaugural Richard P. and Yip Sports Law Conference 2013. I thank all of you for taking time out of your schedules to be with us here today, and we are very pleased to have you in attendance for this momentous occasion. Okay. I would first like to echo the words of my partner, Mr. Richard, who gave the opening speech earlier, to say that our vision of a sports law conference would not have been possible without the participation and help of our organizing partners, who are in no particular order, the Sports Law Commission, as well as LexisNexis. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps if I could just ask for a big hand of applause to thank them for helping organize this great event. We have two very exciting sessions for all of you today, which deals with two very different aspects of sports law. One from a very legalistic point of view of how sports law operates within a legal framework, and the other session later in the day today will deal with a point of view of athletes and how they approach sports law. So we're in for a very exciting day today, and I hope that you can stay with us for both sessions. Okay, without further ado, let me bring you first to our first topic of the day, which is sports contracts. Is it a starting block or finishing line? Like how we would imagine a 100-meter race. Does a sports contract in Malaysia constitute a starting block for an athlete, in the sense that, does it mean that signing of a sports contract amounts to start in an athlete's sports career? Does it allow the athlete the freedom and liberty to focus only on his sporting career and where the athlete allows everything else to be determined by a sports contract? Or can a sports contract be seen from another point of view as a finishing line for an athlete? The moment he signs the contract, his whole life, his whole career is governed by the four corners. And what is a sports contract in that sense? What defines a sports contract? What makes a sports contract different from an ordinary contract? And from the other party's contracting point of view, whatever the sports association or the sports club which the athlete contracts with, on their point of view, how do they view sports contracts? What happens when the athlete decides and he doesn't perform to the expectations? Or what happens when his behavior is unacceptable to a sports association or sports club? What happens then? Can a sports contract be firm enough to determine the rights of the parties while being flexible enough to cope with the developments of sports? Because as we know, every day there are new developments in technology and sports in Malaysia. Can a happy compromise be achieved between two parties, an athlete and a sports association or a sports club, where both approach the system from a very different point of view? And what happens in the event of dispute resolutions? What happens where there's a dispute on a sports contract? How do parties resolve such disputes? And can it be done with minimum of interruption or disruption to an athlete who's preparing for his training? Or can it be done without affecting the reputation of a sports association or sports club? Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, despite being a lawyer, despite being passionate in sports, I do not know these answers. But we have for you today a very distinguished panel of speakers who may be able to provide you with the answers. We start off with our first speaker, who is currently on the stage. If I may introduce Dr. Zaidi Hassim, more popularly known as Dr. Jady, who is a senior lecturer at University of Kebangsaan of Malaysia. Dr. Jady is currently the authoritative academician in the field of sports law. He is the author of the book called An Introduction to Sports Law in Malaysia, Legal Guidelines for Sports Persons and Sports Administrators. This book is the leading literature for sports law in Malaysia today, and we are privileged to have Dr. Jady with us here today. Dr. Jady is also an accredited mediator with the Malaysian Mediation Centre, and he sits on the Committee of Professional Footballers Union, the Asia-Oceania Division, which is based in Melbourne, Australia, and is also a member of the Asia Council of Arbitration for Sports, which is based in Seoul, South Korea. Dr. Jady had completed his PhD on sports law at University of Kebangsaan of Malaysia, wherein his doctoral thesis explored the legal status of professional footballers and the role of player associations in Malaysia. Dr. Jady will today be providing us with an overview of the general principles and theories relating to sports law, as well as the broad legal framework of sports contract. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Jady to the stage.